You know what you're here for. Or if you don't, watch part 1. Let's go.
This white-haired man is positioned on the left rear. Now, did you notice the android on the right rear?
How would I have? You told me the way to identify androids is that they stand behind and to the left of people, not behind and to the right.
You didn't notice him because he is not blinking.
So he's not standing in the right spot and he's not blinking, but you still ID'd him as an android, even though your criteria for identifying someone as an android are they stand behind and to the left and they blink a lot. I'm starting to sense a problem in your system.
In fact, he is staring. He has an almost catatonic demeanor, quite unusual and out of place.
Yes, because he's secretly a compact microwave disguised by a hologram, controlled by insects poking his popcorn button. You can tell by the color of his tie.
Yet he is wholly aware of his environs. He is not mentally handicapped.
Senator Max Botcus? That's debatable. I'm kidding. I don't know anything about him. But...
Now, the synthetic person who was in a relative position behind the previous speakers, who was influencing what they said and the topic of their discussion, now comes himself to the forefront and finishes off the audience manipulation. He has carefully steered the conversation and prepped the audience in order to receive his glory-filled statements in order to secure the deal and to win whatever presentation they're trying to do.
Deals in the U.S. Senate are not secured by audience approval or winning the presentation, Thessarian. This press conference is happening after the fact. It doesn't really matter what people think. Not till the next election, anyway, which wouldn't be for a good couple of years. By the way, you want to hear what glory-filled statements he's saying? I didn't find the entire speech, but here's the end of it, the big climax.
Billions of dollars into the pockets of hard-working American people.
Wow, how glorious. It gave me chills. This press conference was recorded live on TV in late 2008. No, it was recorded on February 11th, 2009, because that's when they reached the deal. By late 2010, US economy was failing, massive unemployment. Kinda true, but a little misleading. If we look at the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we can see that from late 2008 through to February 2009, unemployment was already on its way up really fast. 6.1% in September, up to 8.3% by February. Expecting that trend to turn around instantly is a little unrealistic, but it did generally decline through 2010 and continued to decline in the following years. As for the economy failing, GDP increased through 2009 and 2010, and so did personal income. I understand that a growing GDP and personal income level and decreasing unemployment wouldn't necessarily reflect the reality on the ground for everyone. These are national numbers. They'd vary state by state and by local area too, so a lot of people would have the perception that nothing was getting better, or that things were getting worse. But you're talking as if this applies to the whole country, the economy of the US. So what am I supposed to look at if not these national numbers, which do indicate improvement? So when you say that by late 2010 the economy was failing, I don't quite know what you mean. It seems like it was recovering at that point. Don't get me wrong, it was still pretty bad, but it seems it was at least less bad. How much of that can be attributed to the stimulus, if any, or if it's just attributable to the passage of time, I have no idea. But I'm not really concerned with the cause of the gradual recovery, I'm just concerned with the fact that there was a gradual recovery, because that's where the conflict is with your statement. But I'm really not interested in debating the merits or lack thereof of the 2009 stimulus plan. I didn't care then, and I care even less now. So what's your point?
So the synthetic person was employed here in this manner to steer policy in a certain but mistaken direction.
I'm really not sure how you think US politics work if you think policy is decided in press conferences. Elections, though, to an extent, sure. So if I give you the benefit of the doubt, maybe your point here is that Democratic Senator Lieberman here is trying to make the public less angry when they intentionally degrade the economy so that they'll vote Democrat in the 2010 midterm elections. It seems more rational than the literal meaning of what you said. So if that's what you mean, remember, the Dems lost 6 Senate seats in the 2010 election. They barely held on to a majority, and the Republicans had a great time. They easily took control of the House from the Democrats, gaining a whopping 63 seats, so I'm not sure how well the influence really worked.
The fact that their guaranteed economic plan failed miserably
I still don't know what that means.
Also is another clue that this was a careful audience manipulation by a synthetic group of beings well hidden behind society.
So to you, the failure of a complex economic stimulus plan during a recession, which even in the best case would necessarily involve a lot of educated guesses and crossing of fingers, is evidence of androids mind-controlling the public through the TV. Are you hearing yourself?
We're going to play the press conference now in different speeds, so that you can see what is really going on. Again, pay attention to the two white-haired individuals behind the speaker.
Okay. Anytime, Tangerian. Thank you. Dude, I can hardly see any detail with the lines on your TV and you zooming the camera around. You have Max Botcus out of frame half the time, and he's the guy I'm supposed to be looking at. At least put the camera on a tripod, Jesus.
The three of them in a triangular position remind us of a pattern used by military jets. There is the lead jet saddled with one or two other jets as protection.
Reminds me of a triangle, which is obviously going to happen when you try to get three people behind a podium and keep them all visible to the cameras. Are you saying the back two androids are for military backup? Are they going to start shooting lasers from their eyes if a reporter asks a tough question?
In our case, we have a speaker and two androids.
Oh, so the fighter androids are protecting the human? That's nice of them.
The android on the left is transmitting data because he is blinking.
So are you. What are you planting in my brain?
You monstrous, mechanized, misguided moron!
The android on the right is not blinking.
Wait, he's the other android? I thought he was the other android. But if the guy speaking is human, then... I'm so confused.
What is he doing? He may be providing some kind of energy shielding.
Alright, but is he though? You said before you read these guys' energy signatures. Can't you just read if the energy includes an energy shield?
These two men behind the speaker are unusual cases.
How so? I guess Botcus has kind of a resting bitch face, but...
The man to your right is extremely unusual.
Lieberman? He looks downright normal. I guess he talks kind of like he's bored and sad all the time, which is kind of unusual, but it's nothing mind-boggling.
In fact, he is quite obviously unusual.
If you want to convince me he's unusual, you can't just say he's obviously unusual. I don't think he is, so unusual in what way? Convince me. Is it just the blinking? That's not that unusual. So what else?
We all understand the process hasn't been easy.
Whoa! Harry Reid is weird! For obvious reasons. He must be a secret Sasquatch.
Once again, we find the man that was situated on the right rear in your viewing to your left. The glaring, quiet, non-blinking, elderly politician.
Just say their names, dude. God, you're so weird. Anyway, glaring? Yeah, okay, I can accept that, sure. That's the resting bitch face I mentioned. Non-blinking, though, that's just not true. Here are a bunch of times he blinks in your clip. I'd probably find even more if you showed the original clip instead of filming it off your TV while swinging the camera around like a madman, hiding him half the time and reducing the quality so bad that a bunch of other blinks are probably barely even visible. He's not a heavy blinker, but he's not one of those never blink types either. Not that he'd become an android if he was.
Notice his demeanor. Notice his position. If you could measure his energy signature, you would measure that he is not in the spectrum of normal biological existence.
Great, but of course I can't. Not just because I have no clue what you mean by energy signature, but also because I'm just seeing him on a screen, just like you are. So the most I can measure is my monitor's energy signature. How did you measure it?
Your eyes, of course, will deceive you.
About what? The fact that he obviously blinks a bunch of times?
Here he is shielding the most powerful person in the world. Notice the uncanny look, the catatonic glare behind these large eyes.
So he's energy shielding Obama. Well, that means he's not going to be blinking. And he has a catatonic glare, which also means he's not blinking, I guess. So if I check the original video, he should not be blinking. And luckily enough, I have the original video for this one, so let's just verify that without the awful video quality.
Industry, companies or condition of healthcare save on their premium businesses that will see their program and system this in over a decade. You talk to every healthcare economist in terms of bending elements, deficits, because this is going to add all the scare tactics out there, all the saying CBO is the most credible possible. What the CBO says will make coverage affordable at some point. When it passes, those Americans who are already covered will no longer have the system we have now. They will save things. That's why this reform that everybody wants. Differences over prevent us from meeting responsibility to solve. They are counting on us to There's too many for families who can't perform us for them. We're seeing their premiums go up 15%. American people have to be are guaranteed more employers are going to does not get done. Guaranteed that Medicare and Medicaid will blow trajectory that we are intend to have that happen. The Senate doesn't intend to have that happen. When I met before a joint session, neutral Americans who don't have health insurance, the champion of prevention and ensure that people are getting they need and the checkups they need and the screenings they need before they get sick. Save all of us money across the country. Every single we welcome from the press to be in terms of this bill. Caution.
To be clear about what you just saw, that was a solid minute and a half of blinking. It's a 7.5-minute speech. In the video, you say he has a catatonic glare while unblinkingly casting his energy shield. Something doesn't quite add up here.
There's a very busy machine.
Yeah, there is. It's called a brain. And it's busy because he's listening pretty closely to Obama talking.
It has extraordinary insurance reforms in there.
Botcus might not be energy shielding Obama, but he is shielding him from big awkward stuttering pauses. Insurance reforms.
The difficulty in discussing androids is that they are multidimensional creations. Many of their interactions and influences are invisible. For example, they can send thoughts to a person. Obviously, you can't see that on camera. Or in this case, they are shielding a very important person. Most people cannot see those energy effects. In our case, we are not sure what kind of shielding is going on. It may just be a mind shield.
Oh, that you're not certain of. That would require some evidence to establish. Unlike all of these.
Now you'll notice another clue, a little more proof to my unique observations.
I really hope so. I feel like we're stuck at the starting line here. A little bit frustrating.
None of this has ever been done before in public, so doubt and disbelief is expected.
Oh, good. That's not why you should expect disbelief, but it's at least good you expect it.
The speaker is speaking.
No.
Notice when the speaker changes topic or paragraph. Clearly, the speaker shifted his thinking. Now remember that this second android did not like to blink.
He blinks plenty. And if you were watching for blinks when you were watching this on the TV with your eyeballs, I think you know that. And now I'm getting more and more suspicious that you're just an android trying to hide by misdirecting suspicion onto random humans.
This second android did not like to blink, unlike the first. But notice that the timing of his blinking...
What? Now he does blink? Despite you just saying he's casting an energy shield over Obama and you don't blink when you're doing that? Dude, you're hurting my CPU. I mean brain. I mean CPU. I mean brain. I mean CPU. I mean
But notice that the timing of his blinking with the shift in the speaker's topic.
So what you mean is when Obama's actively speaking, Botcus keeps his eyes open as he focuses. And when Obama pauses, Botcus relaxes for a second and blinks. Seems reasonable. I mean, it's not true, but it'd make sense if it was. Here are a few clips showing you're totally lying.
Companies or conditions save on their premium businesses that will see their...
But nice try anyway. Closest thing you've had so far to proof. Not really.
He blinks before speaker shifts.
Breaking news. Man blinks sometimes. More at 11.
Let's put this scene in context. This is the most powerful person in the world. He is protected by the CIA and the security forces. Everyone on his team is security checked. Yet we have this catatonic, big-eyed, uncanny fellow on his right.
Wow, I know I said Max Botcus has resting bitch face, but that was just uncalled for, man.
A similar position he had in the other conference. Isn't it strange for this to go unnoticed by the Secret Service?
It sure would be. If he were some random man who wandered in off the street and not a U.S. senator.
It isn't strange if this is typical.
It is typical. He was a senator. He did press conferences all the time.
It isn't strange if there are more of them.
Big-eyed, uncanny fellows or senators? I'm pretty sure there's a bunch more of both.
It isn't strange if the CIA can't tell the difference.
They can tell the difference. That's why it's Botcus standing there and not Erica the android.
Or if they are involved. But to you and me, this is highly unusual.
How many times do I have to tell you to speak for yourself?
Even if he wasn't an android, it is highly unusual.
It's highly unusual for the CIA to allow a senator near the president if he has big eyes and doesn't blink that much. Who's that guy? He's too funny looking to be a senator. Get him out of the White House. I don't think we can do that, sir. He's an elected official. Just do your damn job, Simmons. I don't think that is our job, sir. We're Central Intelligence. And do you think it's intelligent to allow big-eyed freaks near Mr. Obama? Good point, sir. I'll get right on it.
We have now seen 2 examples of synthetic people in action.
Have we? Can we see something a little more obviously synthetic, like this?
Obviously, they are excellent human recreations. They look and appear human.
I could not possibly agree more. They look human, appear human, blink human, stand behind and to the side of people human, probably feel human too if you poke them. If they're androids, it seems like there's no way at all to tell.
If I had not told you, you would never think twice.
And now, having thought twice, I'm pretty sure they're human.
But these examples, these subjects of observation, are synthetic. What I call android beings, machine people. Of course, since they are not made of metallic parts, we would have to redefine what an android is.
So if we ever examined one in person, would we be able to tell, or are they made of fleshy bits and bone just like a human? What stunning recreations, truly. They seem so human.
Make your own definition.
I thought you'd do that. You're the one claiming they match the definition. But since I get to do it, I hereby declare that in this context, the definition of android is perfectly normal human, in which case I completely agree they're androids.
These 2 people, significant political players influencing very powerful politicians, are artificial. The first question we raise is this: if androids are influencing the highest levels of government, then the government is not in charge.
To be fair, these androids are elected members of the government, so it kind of is. Besides which, individuals in the government influence each other all the time. Not with fast blinking or no blinking or sometimes blinking psychic attacks, but still.
If the government is not in charge, who is?
Facebook?
And whoever is in charge can operate on a dimensional frequency that appears invisible. Both these men are in their 60s. Were these androids then created during World War II, while the public was distracted by a war?
Now that is an interesting topic. If these androids were created in the 40s, were they made as little baby androids, and they grew up gradually into kid androids, and then pizza-faced teenage androids, and then middle-aged politician androids who visibly aged day by day as the public watched their political careers? Man, now they're aging. It's getting harder and harder to tell these obvious androids apart from just people.
The android builders were inserting synthetic human-looking people into the highest levels of power and programming them to influence society at large.
But if they want a 60-year-old android to influence society at a press conference, I guess they gotta start it real early. Seems incredibly inefficient. Makes me kind of wonder what the point is of the farmer androids, though. Are they also destined for power, or do they just stay farmers? And if so, what's the point? Does it really influence all that much if the guy who grows your turnips is a robot?
Or were there androids from the early 1900s? Have there been androids among us for centuries?
Well, Marty Feldman was born in 1934.
You must be Igor.
No, it's pronounced Igor.
But they told me it was Igor.
Well, they were wrong then, weren't they?
And Peter Lorre in 1904.
Have you and I ever waltzed at the Waldorf for the March of Dimes?
Both well before the war, just saying.
Here's a more interesting question.
I'm not sure I can handle an even more interesting question.
If an advanced android can be made to look and appear human, could it be that humans evolved as some original android form?
What? Are you asking, could all humans be androids despite being biological organisms produced by evolution? But at that point, what's the difference between android people and normal people? What makes you able to identify those people as androids but not everybody else? And if it's evolution, what makes us androids but not the species we descended from? My head is spinning here, man. I think my neck rotor needs adjustment.
If there are people here that are 1,000 years ahead of humanity, and they can build human androids, then could they or others have built androids tens of thousands of years ago?
Who cares? What does that have to do with whether humans evolved as androids? I was right, I can't handle this level of interestingness.
That would mean that humans are part of an android legacy, and simply forgot their origins.
What does being an android even mean at that point? Why am I even asking? You asked me to define it, I said it just meant human, and I guess I wasn't far off the mark. Hold up, if we're all androids, is that why we all blink? But then any blinking would be evidence of being an android, right? So you didn't have to point out the fast blinking and the slow blinking. You could just point to literally anyone who blinks. Ugh.
Every android is unique because each having identifiable clues that give their true class away. Even at high speed, you can notice the man with white hair staring, his eyes not moving.
Are they not? Watch the next bit of this clip carefully.
While the speaker's eyes are moving naturally, as is his head, as he proceeds through his speech.
Tell me again that Botcus's eyes weren't moving there. They were moving all over the place.
But we can notice that he blinks very little, if at all, throughout this speech.
No, we can't. The compilation I played speaks for itself.
A very long speech, of which this is only a part of.
The speech is 7 minutes long. How short is your attention span if that's a long speech? Alright, well that's all we got to talk about with Max Botcus. Next time we're going to be talking about someone I'm sure a lot of you have heard of named Nancy Pelosi. That should be fun, I guess. So if you want to catch that part, subscribe or sign up to my email list or join my Discord or whatever. Email list people get videos 1 day early. Give the video a like if you liked it. And huge thanks to all of my supporters on all the different financial support platforms. If you want to find those, there's Patreon, Subscribestar, the usual, or you can go to support.logicked.com to find other ways. And thank you very much if you do, it's very helpful. Alright, well, see you next time for the shocking conclusion.